But alrighty then. So this is Julia, my older sister. TikTok handle The Fuller Truth. It'll be tagged below somewhere on the screen. And she's going to give a brief introduction about herself. Go on.
As she said, my name is Julia Fuller, and my TikTok is Fuller Truth. And so just a little bit about me. I am her older sister, but I'm also a friend, and we value each other's opinions and perspectives and views on all different types of things concerning being a woman, concerning being a Black woman, concerning being a mother, a wife, whatever it is, however we are trying to show up in the world, we look to each other to bounce ideas off of each other and different perspectives and just be a sounding board. And I am so honored that for her first guest of her new podcast, To Be Determined, that she would have me as her guest. So,
Alrighty then. So thanks for that introduction. What's one thing that you can teach others? Like, what is one thing that you do really well? It's just like second nature to you.
Well, honestly, that's a hard question for me to answer simply because, and this has always been a challenge for me, and I'm pretty sure that maybe a lot of other people feel the same way. There are too many things that I'm good at. There are too many things that interest me that I could really excel at. So it's hard to pick a lane and stick in it. You know, it's like you're constantly changing lanes and changing projects and endeavors. So if I had to, maybe this is good that you asked me this, because if I had to choose just one thing that I would say I am amazing at, that I could teach other people, that's another thing. That's another aspect of it, because just because you're good at it doesn't mean that you can teach it. Yeah. Teaching is a very specific skill. It's a skill set. I guess I would have to say scripture study, research. Like that's my wheelhouse. That's where I really shine. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Yeah. If I want to learn everything about it, I know how to go and get that information, retain that information, simplify it into layman's terms, and explain it to someone else. So the areas of interest that draw me the most is scriptural, biblical study, metaphysical study, quantum physics. All of those things are really, they build upon each other. Like if you start with a base in scripture and then you start to study the metaphysical and you start to study quantum physics, you start to see how it all connects and how it all like kind of explains each other. When you start to study vibration, frequency, you start to see things in the scriptures and in the world of metaphysics that just further explain. So it's just like, that's probably the thing that interests me the most, the thing that I'm most passionate about, the thing that I would love to, explore other people's thoughts and discoveries concerning those things and experiences concerning those things.
Okay. I love how you actually took the time to think about your answer. Yeah. Instead of just like spouting out words, because I feel like a lot of people really just respond instead of taking their time to simmer the question. Like, you know?
I know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure in this society to, it's instant gratification. It's we're the microwave generation. So everybody wants everything really quickly. And people feel a lot of pressure to just immediately respond because the art of conversation has been lost. There is an actual art
Yes.
to conversation, active listening, thoughtful responses. But people feel awkward in silence for some reason. The silence is awkward for people for some odd reason. So we feel like we have to fire back, give these like really quick responses, but it benefits us well. It serves everyone well, the speaker and the recipient, to take that time to actually give a thoughtful response. You got to think. You got to think.
So would you say there's a difference from responding and reacting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because reactions are usually knee-jerk, emotional retorts. But a response, when you actually take the time to respond to something, you have to analyze it. You have to process it. And there's a processing time, you know, and I think that's one of the biggest issues in communication, even in relationships, is there's no processing time. You don't take the time to process what's been said, what's been done, how you feel. There's no processing time.
Yeah. So when you say how you feel, are you able to recognize that your feelings isn't reality? I know a lot of women have that problem, a lot of people in general, but especially women.
We do. And I think that, I'm so glad you asked that, because I think, especially as women, there's this thing about what's supposed to be and what should be. And I think that keeps us trapped. I think that keeps us in a space of, a space that doesn't exist. It's not reality. And so, for instance, you hear a lot of women, especially in the Christian community, say things like, the man is supposed to be the head of the household. Okay, but in that regard, then Christ is supposed to be the head of the man. But when you have a man who doesn't have Christ as his head, as his leader, and you've now put him in a position to lead you because that's where he's quote unquote supposed to be, now you are letting someone steer the ship that has no direction. They have no guide. And so you got to stop focusing on what's supposed to be and what should be, and actually look at what is and accept it for what it is and act accordingly. Yeah. But we do let our feelings and our emotions govern and dictate. Now, don't get me wrong, feelings and emotions are extremely important, but you have to understand how to use them to your advantage. You have to understand how to master them and not let them master you. And so, I was just talking about metaphysics. So thoughts are electrical. We are electromagnetic beings. So thoughts are electrical, feelings are magnetic. And so when you combine the thoughts and the feelings, you create an electromagnetical field that draws things in and creates more energy. So that's why where attention goes, energy flows, right? So that's why you have to really watch what you think and how you feel. And just because you're having a feeling doesn't mean you just go with that. You have to stop and analyze it. Ask yourself, is this emotion actually serving me? Because if it's not, I need to change it. Not I need to act on it. I need to analyze whether or not this emotion, this anger that I'm feeling, does this serve me right now? If it doesn't serve me, if it's not magnetically drawing in the experience that I want, I have to change this emotion to one that does serve me, one that does draw in and magnetize me for the things that I actually want. And I think that once we can actually get mastery of our emotions, our thoughts and our emotions, our energetic being, our energetic fields, that's when we can start to draw in the experiences and the things that we actually want.
But how do you work on that? It's easier said than done.
Everything is easier said than done, right? And that's another thing, like we live in a generation where everybody wants everything to be easy. Nothing is easy. Just because something is simple Just because it's not complicated does not mean it's going to be easy to execute. And so what you have to start is, it's a practice like everything else. And the whole idea of a practice is putting something into practice, doing it consistently, regularly, practicing it until you get better at it. And so, for instance, if I'm experiencing an emotion that I know I don't want to feel, that doesn't serve me, then I can make a conscious decision to say, okay, I need to get into a different vibration right now. I need to get into a different energy right now. So what energy do I want to feel? Do I want to feel calm? Do I want to feel happy? Do I want to feel peaceful? Do I want to feel energetic? Okay, once you decide what you want to feel instead of what you are feeling, now you have to have a tool bag to help you get to that vibration that you want to get to. So again, coming up with a tool bag is really self-reflection. What makes me feel the way I want to feel right now? I know when I listen to this type of music, it puts me in a different vibration. I feel happy. I feel energetic. I feel peaceful. I know when I talk to this particular person, they always know how to raise my spirits. They always know how to help me get a different perspective on the situation. Or I know if I go for a walk, or if I exercise, or if I play with my children, if I go do an art project, or whatever the case may be, you have to have a tool bag that can help you get to where you want to be in any moment's notice. If I'm feeling down, I know what uplifts me. If I'm feeling a little bit too excited, I know what brings me back down a little bit. If I'm feeling too expanded, if I'm feeling angry, or if I'm feeling constricted, feeling scared, whatever the case may be, I have to know how to manipulate my energy. If I'm feeling too constricted, I need to know what I can do to expand. If I'm feeling too expanded, I need to know what to do to bring it back center. And once you get that tool bag, it's just about being conscientious of it in the moment. In the moment, when you recognize these emotions that you're having that don't serve you, go to the tool bag. Don't waste any time. Because another thing is that a lot of people have gotten comfortable with their dysfunction. They like being depressed. They like feeling afraid. They like feeling anxious or angry. They've gotten comfortable with those emotions. And so whether it's serving them or not, they like to stay there. So it's a conscious decision. If you make the decision, I don't want to be depressed, I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be fearful, I don't want to be anxious, then you need to develop a tool, a system, and gather to yourself tools that you know will help pull you out of these emotions when you're ready to. And it's really that simple, but it's not that easy. It does take practice. It takes time, like everything else.
For sure. So it's interesting. You brought up bags as a tool bag. And I know, like, in this day and time, everyone's like in their bag, chasing after the bag. Go get the bag. But like 15, 20 years ago, you know, Erykah Badu's song Bag Lady.
Uh-huh.
And she was just saying, like, how a woman can have too many bags, too many things going on. You have to, like, drop it all.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like we're chasing after so many bags.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that you said, like, a tool bag. So, like, kind of like condensing everything with your mind, having that one accord with the spirit, the mind, the body in oneness.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
centeredness.
One bag, a tool bag. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Tool bag, that's pretty dope.
Bag lady, you gon' hurt your back. Dragging on the back like that.
And she can sing.
But no, yes, you know, I love that song. I'm glad that you brought that up, because what she said, I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you, is you, is you. And you have to hold on to yourself. You have to know yourself, though. And again, we have, especially as women, we've been conditioned to think about everybody else but ourselves. We've been conditioned from the time that we were little girls to take care of everybody else. They get us, you know, easy bake oven sets. They give us little play cleaning sets. They give us little baby dolls, you know, and from the time that we're little, it's like, learn to take care, learn to cook, learn to clean, learn to care for other people. Mm-hmm. And we don't we don't spend any time getting to know ourselves. And then we're taught that our worth, like a woman can be as successful as, as anybody. But if she doesn't have a man who loves her, there must be something wrong with her. She doesn't have a man who's quote unquote chosen her, when women are actually supposed to be the ones doing the choosing. We're not supposed to be chosen. We're supposed to choose. Flowers don't chase bees. The sperm does not chase the egg. So, but we are taught that we must have a man. We must care for everybody else. So our energy from the time that we're little is externalized to all these external forces. When you learn to call your energy back in, and there are a lot of so-called spiritualists and gurus that talk about calling your energy back in and, saying this list of things, saying words and really spells and all this kind of stuff to call your energy back in. It ain't even all, and it's not that deep. It's really not. How do you call your energy back in? You stop externalizing it. Period. That's all that is necessary to retain and recall your energy back to yourself. You stop externalizing it. You stop hyper focusing on everything else outside of you. That toxic relationship, stop going back to it mentally. Let it go. Anytime those thoughts come into your mind, you have to actively tell yourself, no, I'm not doing this. That is in the past. Because guess what? In order to reach your destiny, your destination, if you are looking in the rearview mirror the entire time, one or two things is going to happen. You're going to end up lost, or worse come to worse, you're going to self-destruct. You are going to crash and burn, and you're going to hurt yourself and people around you in the same in the same fashion. You cannot be looking in the rearview mirror if you're moving forward. So calling your energy back in is about making yourself let go of the things in the past. Let go of the things that hurt you. Let go of resentment. Let go of bitterness. Let go of regret. That's a big one. These energies, these emotions, these phenomena, they do not serve you. They are counterproductive and self-destructive. So if you want to call your energy back in, it's simply imagine that you have all of these energetic cords, these cords of light, and they're just all over the place. They're hanging on to the exes. They're hanging on to the parents that didn't do what you expected them to do. They're hanging on to the old jobs and the so-called missed opportunities. That's where all of your energy is. All you literally have to do is let go. And when you let go of these things, imagine those energetic cords just retracting back to you. That's how you call your energy back in. And then you begin to pour into yourself. You begin to take all of that energy, all of that thought, all of that effort, and put it back into yourself. Say, you gave so much of your life trying to push the man to be as good as he could be, trying to take care of him, trying to feed him, nurse him back to health. Put that energy into yourself. Begin to nurse yourself back to health. Begin to, push yourself to reach your full potential. Decide what it is that you want to do with your life and take those steps every day, even if it's just a baby step. What the mind needs is progress. That's all the brain needs. It needs progress. It doesn't need perfection. Progress over perfection. Don't have this, because I was stuck for a while. Like, if I couldn't do it in a day, or if I couldn't see the end result, I couldn't get started. It was like that analysis paralysis and the illusion of perfection, which doesn't exist. And that would keep me stuck. I would be completely stagnant. I would not make a move at all because I couldn't see the entire thing. I couldn't see it completed. I couldn't see myself doing it perfectly in a certain amount of time that I had given myself. But once you just realize that you just got to start. It's like when you're driving down a dark highway, your headlights are only going to be able to see so far. You're only going to be able to see so far down the road, but the farther you go, the farther you'll see. And eventually you get where you're going. You don't have to be able to see the destination from the start, because honestly, I was thinking about this last night. You know, we always say these things like, well, if I had a time machine, I wish I had a time machine, or if I could go back in time, or if I knew then what I know now. But don't we realize that that would completely take away our will to live? That would take away our hope. It would be like that movie Groundhog Day. There would be nothing that you already know what's going to happen. Your destiny lies, your dreams, your hopes, it all lies in the realm of the unknown. And that's what's beautiful about it. Nothing can happen, nothing new can happen in the realm of what's already known. There's no excitement, there's no hope, there's nothing. But the realm of the unknown, that's where anything is literally possible. Anything you can imagine, anything your heart desires, it's in the realm of the unknown. And so embrace that. Like, if someone from the so-called future were to come, and I say future in quotation marks because I don't really think of time as linear. I think that we have a distorted perception of what time is, but I think that everything is here now. I don't past, present, future, it's all here now. And so if someone were to come tell you, well, this is going to happen tomorrow, in exactly 10 days, this is going to happen, in exactly 10 years, this is going to happen, and this is how you're going to die, and this is what you're going to get, and this is who you're going to have in your life, why would you even feel the need to get out of bed? Yeah. Like, it would be like, oh, I already know what's going to happen. So, like, what's the point? There's nothing I can do to change it. So what's the point? You know, the realm of the unknown is where the magic is. That's where the real magic is. So I'm embracing that now. And I was just telling our mom last night, I was watching the Cat Williams interview. Because I've seen so many clips on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, let me just go and watch this whole thing, because I keep seeing more things that he said. And I'm like, let me go and watch this whole interview. And so he said something that kind of like blew me away, honestly. Cat Williams said that he felt like he came to comedy too late. He said he felt like he was so behind. But what if he had let that stop him? What if he had let that stop him thinking there's no point in me even trying because I'm already so far behind? How many times have we felt like that?
Countless.
The lady that played Estelle Getty, this is the actress that played Sophia on the Golden Girls. That was her first job. 50 plus years old, never acted before, never even anything small, not plays, not nothing. A lot of times they actually had to tape her lines onto that kitchen table because she couldn't remember her lines. Like, this was her first job. The rest of them were seasoned vets. You know, B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, Betty White, they had been doing this for decades. This was Estelle Getty's first job in her 50s. 2 Chainz, he didn't get big in rapping until he was in his 40s. Like, there's countless times where somebody thought that they were too late to the game, and then they get in and they blow up. But I was telling my mom, I said, that's why I don't believe in being too late. I don't believe in that anymore. I believe that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And if whatever your destiny is, it's going to happen. But you just gotta start. Like, if you never start, that's the only thing that's gonna stop it from coming to fruition. But once you finally, it doesn't matter how many detours you've had, how many obstacles, how many deferments that have taken place, if you take that leap of faith and actually get started, I 100% believe that the universe conspires to collapse time, condense time, and accelerate that timeline to get you exactly where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. I believe that. And so that's why I was telling my mom last night. She was like, you know what? Thank God. Praise God. Praise God. I needed that, Julie. I said, me too. Like, I needed to hear that too. Thank you, Holy Spirit, because I didn't even know why I was saying that, but it's true. I 100% believe that it's true.
It's awesome. So what's the last thing that you completed? Like 100% full circle completed. Like, that you set your mind to, like, okay, I'm going to do this, and you actually did it. When was the last time that happened?
Child. You know what? On a day-to-day basis, like it's like a meal. It's like cooking a meal and starting to finish, or it's starting the laundry, but I'm at a place now where, just like I was saying, there have been so many deferments. There have been so many obstacles. There have been so many unexpected things, like my life has been some kind of gothic novel up until this point, and I feel like my source, my God, has told me the best is yet to come. In short, our mom struggled with crack addiction. It hit everybody in the 80s really hard. And they dumped it into our neighborhoods, got everybody addicted to it. And our mom has struggled with that up until recently, 30 plus years of being addicted to this drug. And she's got a year sober now. We're very proud of her. But that started a spiral in my life. Actually, let my mom tell it. The enemy tried to take me out the moment I was born. I was in NICU for a couple months. And so she told a story of the nurse that was in the middle of giving her morphine or pain drugs, or wasn't paying attention to what she was putting in the IV because she was flirting with my dad. And of course, he was eating it up, of course, And so apparently I lost oxygen, came out blue. Like, by all means, if I was either supposed to die or at least be brain damaged, and I'm far from either, but then mama started doing drugs when I was 9 months old, and from that moment on, like, daddy took me and the next born, our sister Alicia, took us to Mississippi from St. Louis to his family. And my dad, God bless his soul, can't hold down a job to save his life. So it was always a struggle. Everything was a struggle. And he's also got his own issues with his own mom. So very misogynistic, never wanted daughters, wanted sons, was, physically abusive, emotionally neglectful. So it was rough. And if I thought my life was rough until I graduated, and I thought, oh, when I graduate, everything's going to be better. When I graduated, my life really went to the crapper because, I had a cousin, an older cousin, tried to tell me, stay away from that boy. Leave that boy alone. That boy is not your soulmate. He's not your husband. She's like, okay. Let's say, for instance, he is. What's stopping you from going to university? If y'all gonna be together, then you should be able to go to university and it'll still work out. But I was like, no, I can defer that. I can defer university and go to community college with him across the street from my grandmother's house that I've been waiting to get away from for 15 years, dreaming of the day I'd be able to leave this little city behind and get on with my life. I'm going to stay here another year because I'm in love with a boy. And she tried to tell me, don't do it. Don't do it. I think about that moment a lot because that was like the canon event, as they call it. That was like the turning point in my life, where my life would have been something completely different had I made a different decision that day. But I followed him to community college. A few months later, we were broken up. I had been sexually assaulted on campus by one of his teammates. I tried to attempt suicide. I ended up in the hospital. I ended up dropping out of school. I ended up homeless. God, the stories I can tell you. Somebody tried to pimp me out. I'm sleeping out I'm hanging out at the park all day. I'm hanging out at McDonald's, until my sister Alicia would call me and say, the coast is clear, grandma is asleep, or grandma is at church. Because, apparently I was an abomination because I was, experimenting with bisexuality. So I was an abomination. I wasn't welcome in the house, but, it was just, and then my dad comes off the road, hadn't seen him in a couple of years. He comes in off the road. He had started truck driving and he's heard all these rumors. She's gay. She dropped out of school. She's this, she's that. So in true fashion, here he is trying to beat the living daylights out of me at 19 years old. Had to call the police on him. So that's how I ended up in St. Louis. You know, our mom said, well, just, you know, give me a chance. I've been clean for 4 years. Lying. I've been clean for 4 years and, you know, give me a chance. And I get here and 2 months later, I'm 19. I ain't never known nothing but little Boonville, Mississippi. Now I'm in St. Louis on the South Side. She puts me out, you know. And it's like I was homeless here for 4 years. I stayed in the shelter off Kings Highway. I just got bounced around a lot. I was around a lot of very dangerous people. And then I meet Ro, another canon event. I meet Ro, and Ro, I was in this real man-hating space when I met him, and he was just determined to prove to me that he was the one that was different. He was a good guy, you know? And so he befriended me. He courted me for like 2 years. I was completely abstinent. And, you know, when mama put me out that last time, I literally had nowhere else to go. I had nobody else to call but him. And he came running, you know, he came running to my rescue and, you know, took me to his apartment, put me in his bed. He took the couch, you know, gave me money to eat with every day. And it was just like, I got that hero complex, like, he saved me, you know, like, and I married him out of a sense of fear and loyalty, honestly. Cared a lot about him, felt like he cared about me, but it was never right. It was never quite right. And once I realized that he wasn't the right one, I stayed because I was too afraid to go out there and stand on my own 2 feet. And so I ended up marrying him, having 2 children with him, only to be divorced now because it was never right. And he and I are in a decent space. Like, we're in a calm, cool, collected space. We co-parent well. But your original question was, what have I started that I actually finished that I wanted to do? I'm just getting started. I'm literally just getting started because, but like I was saying, I really do 100% believe that time will be collapsed for me, that time will be condensed for me, that the timeline will be accelerated now that I am finally starting. So I'm going to be sitting here with you a year from now, telling you all those things that I started and finished and they were successful. But right now, I'm working on a product line called Whole Baddie. Yeah. So it's spelled HOL, Baddie, and HOL is short for holistic. So I believe that beauty has to be addressed and acquired from a holistic standpoint. It's not enough to do the hair and the makeup and the clothes. That's great. You know, we as women, we love to adorn ourselves. We love to feel beautiful and look beautiful, but it has to come from the inside out and the outside in. It has to come from a spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical standpoint. And that's what holistic means. It's addressing the health of the whole being from every single aspect. And so with Whole Baddie Beauty, I want to develop products and, tools essentially that we can use to address our entire being. Like, every product is going to come with a prayer, and every product is going to come with a scripture, and every product is going to be completely organic, no additives, no preservatives, no chemicals of any kind, because the industry is out to get us. The industry is out to get us, especially as Black women. These products that you're using in your hair, your skin, your makeup, they all contain hormone disruptors. They all contain carcinogenic chemicals. So they're trying to make you sick. They're trying to give you cancer. They're trying to disrupt your hormone, cause hormonal imbalances, which hormone imbalances cause all kinds of other problems in us. If you're seeing problems with hair loss, if you're seeing skin problems, if you're having growths in your womb, cysts and fibroids and tumors and all that kind of stuff, it is coming from hormone imbalances, hormone disruptions, and deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies and mineral deficiencies. But they'll never tell you that. They'll just pump you with more chemicals and do more procedures. And it's not about healing you, because that's a business. And so the medical industry is a business. The bottom line is making a profit, period. That's one of the biggest money makers in this country is the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry and the insurance industry. It's all tied in together. And so I started this line not thinking that I was starting a line. Like, I was literally just saying, I want products that I trust to put on my face and my hair and my babies. I was so uncomfortable putting store-bought lotion on my babies, especially my little one, because I'm like, look at his little body. You know, like I'm rubbing this stuff into the largest organ that he has. His bloodstream is soaking it up. I can't identify half this laundry list of ingredients, and it's not sitting right with me. And so that's when I started doing my research. Again, like I said, research is my thing. So I started doing my research on, you know, what type of essential oils and seed oils or base carrier oils and butters and just different ingredients that are going to give me the desired result. What's gonna help turn back this clock? Because being in this loveless marriage for 10 years, it just felt like it sucked the life out of me. Like, I looked in the mirror and did not recognize myself anymore. It's like I look 10 years older than I actually am. It's time to turn back the clock. So I started looking in like, how can I formulate something specifically to get the results and skin I want? How can I formulate something that I feel comfortable putting on my baby's bodies? How can I formulate something that is going to, encourage vitality and health in my skin and hair? And so that's what I started with the line but it's more than just, it's face care, it's hair care, it's with the face care, there's a cream, there's a toner, there's a facial serum. With the hair care, there's an oil, there's a butter. With the and then the other aspects of health, there's also deodorant, there's also inflammation balms. Like if you're having pain or inflammation, there's roll-ons that you can put in the area that is causing you pain. There's tea blends, herbal tea blends. There's an immunity, the immunity to boost your immunity. There's a beauty rest tea that's going to help you get, more sound sleep. There's all these different tea blends. There's a calming tea. There's an energizing tea. And all of these things are holistic, and they're herbal, and they're healthy, and they're organic. So, yeah. This time next year, I will be sitting here telling you that I've finished the product line and that I have turned a profit and I have created a formidable brand for myself.
And I'm always down to test these.
Absolutely. You're going to be seeing before and after pictures of my sister, my mom, my friend in Florida. My friend in Florida is suffering with something called cutaneous lupus, and we thought it was alopecia, but it's attacking her hair follicles. It's autoimmune disease that's attacking her hair follicles and causing baldness in different places. And so she went to the dermatologist. We got a name for it. We got a diagnosis. Then she asked the dermatologist, is my hair going to grow back? And the dermatologist said, basically, no, it's not. You may get something back in some areas, but you have some scarring and some indentations, and it's probably not going to grow back. And I stopped her right there and said, what you asking her for? Mm-hmm. She doesn't have the authority to say yes or no. So, we used her as a tool to get a name for what we want to address specifically, what we want to come against on a spiritual level and on a physical level and on a medical level. But she doesn't have the authority to say, yes, it's going to grow back, or no, it's not. So don't ask her. Your God has the authority. And as you believe, so shall it be. That's what I try to explain to people about how the Bible and science matches up, and like real science. I ain't talking about like all that outer space nonsense and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like actual testing and real chemistry and all of that. So the placebo effect. That's what I'm trying to explain to people, what Jesus was talking about when he said, as you believe, so shall it be. If you ask and don't doubt, it shall come about. Speak those things that are not as though they were. Power of life and death lies within the tongue, and those who love it will eat the fruit thereof. You have to understand that this is in the design. So the placebo effect is a scientific phenomena, if you will, that kind of explains it. And there's actually something called the placebo effect and the nocebo effect, which a lot of people don't know about the nocebo effect, but they use it all the time in medicine. And so with the placebo effect, just one example of countless, because literally every medication, and this is something I found out last year, every new medication that they come out with, that the pharmaceutical industry comes out with, it has to be tested against the placebo effect. So when they run their trials, it has to be tested against the placebo effect to test the actual efficacy of that drug. And 90% of the new drugs that come out, and so-called medicines that come out, fail against the placebo effect. And so one of countless examples of the placebo effect, if you've never heard of it, because it's not talked a lot about nowadays, especially, here's an example. You go into the doctor and you tell them you're having pain in your left knee. And they tell you, okay, we have an injection for that. This injection, once we give it to you, by tomorrow, you will have no pain in your knee. It will completely remove all the inflammation, lubricate that joint. All we have to do is give you this injection. The doctor gives you the injection. Sure enough, the next day, you feel no pain. Come to find out, that injection was nothing more than saline solution, salt water. It was not a real medication. But the reason your body responded the way that the doctor said it would is because you believed it. It's that simple. They do this type of thing all the time. They use sugar pills and saline injections. They've even performed placebo surgery before. They have performed placebo surgery where somebody said, okay, I have this tumor on my knee, and it was debilitating, causing them to not be able to walk normally without pain. And so the doctor brings them in, puts them under, gives them, the anesthesia, puts them under, tells them we're going to make a small incision, remove the tumor, and, your pain will be gone and you'll be walking just fine. They make a small, cosmetic, very superficial cut in the knee just to give the illusion that they did the surgery, sew it back up, and boom, next thing you know, they come in a month later to do x-rays and the tumor is gone. They did absolutely nothing but make a cut, sew it back up, and convince you. That's the key to belief. You have to be convinced. You have to be completely confident. You have to be fully persuaded. And so there are ways that you can start to kind of coax your subconscious into removing doubt, but it has to take time. And for those of you who actually, believe in Jesus Christ, believe in the Word of God, if the placebo effect can work so well because some person in a white coat with the letters MD after their name told you something and you believed it, how much more powerful should your belief be in Christ if he tells you something? So the nocebo effect works in the same way, where they tell you something negative. They tell you it's going to be this side effect. You're going to experience this amount of quote unquote suffering, and you believe it. So you do. And in the same token, they have not actually given you any medication. It's a sugar pill. It's a saline injection. But they tell you you're going to break out in hives, or you're going to experience extreme fatigue, or you're going to, whatever the case may be. Because you believe it, you experience those exact symptoms that they said you would. So this is the power of our belief. And if we can really take this and use it to create the lives that we want, you know, the world calls it the placebo effect. The world calls it manifestation, law of attraction. But these are all concepts. These are all real energies, real phenomena that was created by Creator God, the creator of this universe. This is how we are designed. We are electromagnetic beings. Like I was saying, the thoughts are electric, the emotions, the feelings are magnetic. When you combine that, when you have a thought that tells you this will happen, and then you also feel the energy, you feel the emotion of it happening, you have created an electromagnetic charge that makes it happen. It's really that simple. But we get in our own way with doubt and fear. We get in our own way with impatience, because the third dimension that we're operating in, this dimension, things materialize very slowly. It's not like the realm of the spirit where things are immediate. In the realm of the natural, in this physical realm, things materialize more slowly. So it's already done. It's already done in the realm of the spirit, but it may take some time to see it materialize in the physical realm. And that's where people get discouraged. But you have to keep your energy up. You have to keep the thoughts and the emotions on in that space, in that now space where it's already done. And I feel it and it's here. But just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. You don't, that, you know, I have to see it to believe it mentality is a very carnal, third dimensional way of thinking. But flipping that around and saying, I will see it when I believe it, that is the spiritual dimensional thinking. People call it fourth and fifth dimensional thinking. I don't even think you can put a number to that level of dimensional thinking, though. We do know this is a multi-dimensional existence, but we don't know how many dimensions there are. You know, we just know that this is what we call the third dimension, because things are 3D here. And this is a physical dimension where things just take longer to materialize. Like if you plant a seed here in the third dimension, you would think of it like that. Like when you are quote unquote manifesting or praying or whatever you call it, you're planting a seed in the spiritual realm that sprouts up immediately. But it's going to take time to see it actually reach above the surface and sprout and flower and bloom in the physical. But it's only a matter of quote unquote time. Even here, when you plant a seed in the ground, it sprouts roots down first. It creates an entire root system beneath the surface before you can even see anything. And it happens almost immediately. As soon as you put that seed in the ground, one little, sprout just pops out of the bottom and starts spreading out. You can't see anything happening above the surface. But then one day you see that first little green sprout. And then from there, it's just growing and growing and growing and flowering and budding and producing fruit every single day. That's how you have to think of your prayer life. That's how you have to think of, quote unquote, manifesting, if that's what you want to call it, materializing, bringing things into fruition. It's done immediately in the spirit. It's already done. You just have to it's like when you plant a seed in the ground. You don't put a seed in the ground and just because you can't see it anymore, you think it's gone or it just disappeared. Every day you're expecting to see something pop up. Every single day. You never lose hope, faith. You never doubt for 1 second that something is going to come. It's just going to take time. That's the same way you have to look at the spirit. And it's not even a thing of let's say a tomato seed and you put it in the ground. It's not even a thing of hoping like, I hope it produces something, or will it produce something? Or it's like, okay, any day now, I know what I put down there. I know what's gonna pop up. Like that's the energy. Yeah. So it's harder to look at it like that when you're talking about things that you have to sow into the spirit, though. When you're sowing into the realm of the spirit, it can be a little bit harder. But once you really get a grasp on the fact that the spirit realm is actually more real than the physical realm, And that's where you need to be doing your work, and that's where your belief needs to be, is in the unseen. Then it gets easier.
Okay, so with the spiritual realm and the physical realm, what about like keeping a clean home and a clean environment? Doesn't that have like a reflection of your mind?
I think everything is a reflection. I think that everything in your external environment is a reflection of your internal environment, and vice versa. Your internal environment is a reflection of your external environment. So, for instance, my room, you saw, like there was a time where my room was completely cluttered. It looked like a cyclone hit it. And the same could be said for my mental state. Like I feel there's so many things on my mind, so many things I need to do, so many things that need to be organized and just completed and done. And it's very chaotic. It's a chaotic internal environment as well as a chaotic external environment. And listen, we can go all day about like energy, because when you have a cluttered home, you have stagnant energy. Nothing can flow around you. It can get deep. It can get deep. When you're talking about even unclean spirits being able to hide in these unclean places or being invited in, because again, what's in the natural is a reflection of what's in the spirit and vice versa. So if you have this unclean space, you are essentially welcoming in unclean spirits and vice versa. But when you can clear the space around you, you begin to clear your mental space. And when you can clear your mental space, you begin to clear the space around you. It works in both ways. So one tool, because again, we need tools. One tool that I know is helpful with clearing your mental space is writing. People really underestimate the power of the pen. So when you have all these things on your mind, when you write it down, you're literally taking these things in your head and putting it on something tangible in front of you. Now it's not bouncing around in here. Now it's organized right there in front of you for you to look at, analyze, organize, and begin to check things off, whether that be journaling or making lists, because lists are powerful, okay? When you can make a list, when you can check things off, when you can say you got all these things like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, got to do that, and you're feeling chaotic. When you can take all those things that you have to do, put them on a list in front of you, prioritize that list, organize it in order of priority, get the big things done first, and begin to check things off, it can change your life. It can literally change your life. Journaling can change your life. Everybody's always talking about therapy and wishing they had somebody to talk to, and that's great. It has its place. But a lot of times, if you just open up a journal, you can become your own therapist, because, again, you're taking these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, all these things that you're having that's going on internally, put it on paper in front of you, and then you become the analyst. Now you can actually look at it objectively. It's not just bouncing around in your head anymore. It's not oppressing you mentally, emotionally. You have taken it out, put it on paper, and now you become the therapist, because you can read it back, analyze, and actually see what's going on inside of you. Instead of just feeling it, you get to see it. So yeah, that's another tool that can really help clear the internal clutter and the external clutter. Yeah.
I love how everything you said kind of comes into full circle.
Yeah, because it's all connected.
Yeah. You're really invested in this. You're not just talking.
Yeah.
Because within every category, it all came together as one.
Yeah.
So you're working on you, and I see it.
I am.
We're whole.
I am.
So I love that. It's not like bouncing all around.
Thank you for seeing that. Thank you for seeing that.
Okay, well, thank you for chatting with me on my first podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you will be seeing more of her and more of me. Awesome. And any final thoughts to tell the ladies? Because essentially this is for the ladies to look for inspiration, motivation, whatever. Because a lot of women don't have that sisterhood, like, you know?
Yeah. I would say one last thing I would want to say to the sisters is, you mentioned inspiration and motivation. It has its place. Looking at different things for inspiration, looking at different women, different experiences and circumstances to get that inspiration and motivation, that's great. But that's just a spark. If you want to keep the fire lit, you need discipline.
Yeah.
You need discipline. You have to commit to yourself and show up for yourself every day. So many of us are always talking about what kind of man we want. We want a man who adores us. We want a man who is, committed and consistent, and, he's hardworking, and he shows up, he keeps his promises. But you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are.
Yes.
The energy and the frequency that you operate in is what you are going to draw into your life. So if you keep ending up with inconsistent men who don't appreciate you, who don't value you, who don't show up for you, or even not even just men, but people around you, period, friends, jobs, whatever the case may be, it's time to look inside. It's time to evaluate how you're showing up for yourself, because how people treat you is determinative as a woman, because as a woman, you are the thermostat. The things around you are the thermometer. Whatever temperature you set, that's the temperature you're going to read. That's what temperature people are going to read around you and with you. So it's time to look at yourself, because a lot of times we don't think about that. We will make a promise to ourselves and say, well, I'm going to work out every day this week, or I'm going to, go on a diet, or I'm going to start, doing more self-care, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to start this and that. And then the first time we don't feel like it is, oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow, or, I'll start again next week, or, oh, no big deal. If you don't even value yourself enough to show up consistently, you cannot, it's a mismatch in frequency. It's hypocritical for you to look at the man in your life, or the friends in your life, or the partners in your life and say, you have to show up for me consistently 100% of the time. You have to keep all of your promises to me. You have to respect me. You have to value me. But you're not giving that to yourself, because how people treat you, like I was saying, is determinative of two different things: how you treat yourself and how you allow yourself to be treated. How you treat yourself and how you allow yourself to be treated. So you can demand respect all day, but if people see that you don't respect yourself, you're not getting that. You're not getting that. It's like going into a person's home and you see it's stinking and filthy and cluttered, and they talking about, take your shoes off in my house, respect my house. You'll be like, okay, I'll just leave. Or vice versa. You keep an immaculate home, but you let people come in and trash it. It's not conducive. The physical and the metaphysical, the actions and the intentions, they're not conducive. So again, how you treat yourself and how you allow people to treat you. Now, if you keep an immaculate home and the moment somebody walks in, you say, can you please take your shoes off? They're instantly going to do that because they see how you treat yourself. So they're going to fall in line, because not only do they see how you treat yourself, but now you've set the expectation. You also set the requirement. But it starts with you. It starts with you. If you want to be respected, you have to respect yourself. You want to be loved, you have to love yourself. You want to be valued. You want to have people respect you and keep their promises to you. You got to do all that for you. It has to start with you. So going forward, when you make a promise to yourself, take it seriously. When you make a commitment to yourself, take it seriously. Don't even make commitments to yourself if you have not already made up in your mind that you're going to follow through. You're going to show up for yourself 100%, because if you keep discounting yourself, if you keep dismissing yourself, that is the energy and the frequency and the vibration you're going to keep attracting. You're not going to have a different experience. You have to be the change you want to see. So learn how to truly love yourself, women. Like, sisters, you have to learn how to really love yourself. And loving yourself is not just about facials and massages, and that's great. That pampering yourself is great if that makes you feel good. But I like to think of loving yourself as like parenting yourself. Because nothing surpasses the love of a good mother for her child. Nothing surpasses that except the love of God itself. And we are that reflection of God. So your child may want things that they think would make them happy. But as a mother, sometimes you have to say no because you know what's best. Sometimes you have to put discipline and structure on this child because everything they want might not be good for them. You might want to text that toxic ex, because you feeling lonely tonight, but it's not good for you. And you know that. So tell yourself no. Have some discipline, redirect your energy the same way you would do with your child. Your child wants to jump on the bed and they're going to fall and possibly hurt themselves. Let's tell the child to stop. Let's get the child redirect that energy into something that they will also enjoy, but is going to be safe. Loving yourself means knowing how to set proper boundaries for yourself. Not only for others, how they deal with you, but also for how you deal with yourself. So be the change you want to see, be the love you want to have, and you will call it in. That's how you call it in, sisters.
All right, I love that. Well, that's all, folks, for today. And basically, bring it in, call it in, pull all your energy back in, and discipline yourself, and learn how to say no.
Learn how to say no.
Even to yourself.
Even to
When you want
yourself.
to quit. So, all love.
It's all love. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. First one.
That was great.